Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the May Technical Committee meeting. Members, please turn your cameras on during roll call and also for voting items. This meeting is being recorded. If anyone should experience difficulties during the meeting, please send a message in the chat box. At this time, Rebecca will start the roll call to determine member participation. Rebecca?
Good morning, everyone. Annapolis, Anne Arundel County, Baltimore City, Baltimore County,
Here.
Carroll County,
Here.
Harford County,
Here.
Howard County,
Here.
Queen Anne's County,
Here.
and MDOT.
Here.
Rebecca, I believe Anne Arundel just arrived as well.
Okay, thank you for letting me know. And MDE,
Here.
MDP,
Here.
MDOT MTA,
Present.
thank you. MDOT SHA. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Rebecca. Our first item is approval of the minutes from the April Technical Committee meeting. Have members had a chance to review the minutes? If so, can I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes?
Queen Anne's County will make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Steve from Queen Anne's.
I stand from MDOT. We'll second that.
Thanks, Dan from MDOT. We will now vote on approval of the minutes. Where your name is read, please indicate aye or nay. Rebecca, can you please read down the list of members?
Annapolis, Anne Arundel County,
Aye.
Baltimore City, Baltimore County,
Aye.
Carroll County,
Aye.
Harford County,
Aye.
Howard County,
Aye.
Queen Anne's County,
Aye.
and MDOT.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. The April minutes are approved.
Sorry, Annapolis is here. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Kwaku.
Thank you, Kwaku.
Thank you.
We will now consider resolutions 26-26 through 26-30, all of which involve amendments to the 2026-2029 TIP. Due to the volume of TIP amendments, we will present all of the TIP amendments at once, followed by a single vote on resolutions 26-26 through 26-30. Resolution 26-26 involves a request from the Maryland Transportation Authority to amend the TIP for two projects. Resolution 26-27 involves a request from SHA to amend the TIP for three projects. Resolution 26-28 involves a request from MTA to amend the TIP for the Eastern Bus Facility Project. Resolution 26-29 involves a request from MTA on behalf of Anne Arundel County to amend the TIP to add the Anne Arundel County Ferry Project. Resolution 26-30 involves a request from SHA on behalf of Anne Arundel County to amend the EV charging stations and other green technology project. Ms. Nicole Condell will introduce the resolutions and associated TIP amendments. Nicole?
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm going to share my screen and walk through each of these amendments to the 26 through 29 TIP. And hopefully you all can see the presentation now. We're going to start with Resolution 2626 for MDTA amendments. And the first project involved with this resolution is the Francis Scott Key Bridge rebuild. And this involves the replacement of the FSK Bridge and its approaches. MDTA will be using toll revenue to fund this reconstruction. However, Congress has approved full federal funding reimbursement of the project's eligible costs that would be reimbursed at a later time. And the change reason for this amendment is to add 1.9 billion in toll revenue funds to the project to reflect the updated cost and schedule that were announced for the project late 2025. This includes construction funds increasing by 1.81 billion, engineering funds in fiscal year 26 increasing by about 96 million, planning funds in 26 also increasing by about 1.3 million, and the total estimated cost increasing from 1.7 billion to 5.2 billion. In addition to these cost changes, the year of operation shifts from 2028 to 2030. The conformity status recommended is for this existing project to remain exempt, and ICG will be considering and voting on this and the other projects that we'll be discussing here next week on May 13th. The next MDTA project amendment is for Curtis Creek Drawbridge Deck Rehabilitation and Resiliency. And this project is part of MDTA's ongoing efforts to ensure safety and continued operation of two drawbridges that carry the inner and outer loops of I-695 over Curtis Creek. This project includes establishment of maintenance of traffic operations, replacement of portions of concrete decks and parapets, repair and strengthening of steel girders, and removal of and replacement of lower level lights and traffic signals. And this amendment updates executed and programmed infra federal grant funding that will be expended in fiscal year 26 and 27. Part of the infra funding shifts from fiscal year 26, and the total also increases by 3.25 million for a total of 7.5 million split between the two fiscal years. State funding for fiscal years 26 through 28 shift to toll revenues and decrease by about 1.1 million. And the estimated total cost decreases from 19.5 million to 17.4 million. This project is also recommended to remain exempt, which will again be considered by ICG on May 13th. Those are the two projects for Resolution 26-26. Carl Chamberlain is available if there are any further questions on the projects. And so with that, we'll move on to Resolution 26-27 for a few SHA projects. The first one up is I-795 Dulfield Boulevard Interchange. This project includes a new interchange at Dulfield Boulevard and widening, as well as operational improvements along I-795 from Maryland 940 to Franklin Boulevard. This also includes a shared use path along Dulfield Boulevard and sidewalk along Tollgate Road. And the change reason for this amendment is to add the right-of-way phase as well as funding using NHPP funds with an 80-20 federal state match. As showed below, right-of-way will include a total of 10.02 million, split 80-20 between federal and state match. This project is currently in the tip and is proposed to remain not exempt. And this will again be considered by ICG next week. Next project is Road to Freedom Trail. This project description includes cycling and pedestrian trail to reconnect and repair land and viewscape between Goucher College and Hampton National Historic Site in Baltimore County. This connects 13 sites of historical significance from Hampton National Historic Site to historic East Towson, which will increase access for residents and visitors. And the purpose of this amendment is to add a new project and design funding using Highway Infrastructure Program community project funding, as well as congressionally directed spending through HIP. And that will involve an 80-20 federal local match. And preliminary engineering will include about 625,000 with 500,000 federal earmark and 125,000 local match. This is a new project and it's recommended that the conformity status be exempt for ICG to consider next week. And the third SHA project is Dobbin Road Shared Use Path. This project involves a 1.4-mile shared use path along the east side of Dobbin Road from Maryland 175 to Oakland Mills Road. It includes a sidewalk along the west side of Dobbin Road and along McGaw and Oakland Mills Roads. This also includes 7 pedestrian crosswalks at 4 signalized intersections along Dobbin Road, for which there will be 3, and Oakland Mills Road, which will include 1. And the amendment for this project is to add a new project as well as the construction funding for this project. Transportation alternative funds will include an 80-20 federal to local match, which will total $7.5 million, as well as Highway Infrastructure Program community project funding, combined with congressionally directed spending funds, as well 80-20 federal local match. That will total $1.25 million in funding. And this project is recommended to have an exempt conformity status. And the point of contact for any additional project questions will be Ben Allen for these few projects. And up next is Resolution 26-28 for one MTA project. This involves the Eastern Bus Facility project, which includes an update to the Eastern Bus Division facility. This existing facility is reaching the end of its useful life and does not have sufficient capacity to meet current needs for operational needs. The purpose is to redevelop the Eastern Bus Division as an electric bus division. And the new facility will be purpose-built for battery electric buses and will include space for administration, training, bus maintenance, bus operations, and bus charging and storage. The purpose of this amendment and change request is to modify the tip for this existing project. This amendment adds about 4.8 million in addition to, 4.8 million in additional 5339 funding for PE. It moves 1.5 million in 5339 funding from construction to design and adds 150,000 in state match for 5307. And it also adds 1.05 million in state match to the 5339 funds. And this existing project is recommended to continue to remain exempt for conformity and will be discussed by ICG next week. And for more information on this project, Albert Guinea Engel can be contacted. Resolutions 26-29 and 26-30 are Anne Arundel County projects. And the first one, 26-29, involves the Anne Arundel County Ferry Project, which would establish a new passenger ferry service connecting the city of Annapolis, the city of Baltimore, and Queen Anne's County. And this amendment, the change reason is to reinsert this project into the 26-29 TIP. This project, while not in the 26-29 TIP, was previously included in the 25-28 TIP. This amendment adds 4.87 million, with of that 3.895 million federal, section 5307H, and about 0.97 million matching for the construction and other phases in fiscal year 26. This amendment also shifts funds from fiscal year 25 to fiscal year 26 to show the proper year of obligation. The funds will be used to procure 2 hybrid electric ferry vessels, making landing improvements and develop electric infrastructure. It's recommended that this project conformity status be exempt for ICG to also discuss next week. And Resolution 26-30 involves the EV charging stations and other green technology project. This is to study, design, and construct necessary infrastructure to support the county's electric hybrid vehicle fleet, including charging stations, garage and fuel station renovations, purchase and installation of specialized maintenance, repair, safety equipment for vehicles and chargers and charging stations, and training. And this amendment is to add 666,000 in total. Of that, 533,000 in federal NEVI earmark and 133,000 in local matching in engineering funds in fiscal year 27. Funding for this amendment is part of an earmark using Highway Infrastructure Program NEVI funds and will be used for the design of infrastructure needed for electric hybrid vehicles. Additionally, the total estimated cost increases from 7.5 million to 8.25 million. The conformity status is recommended to remain exempt, and of course, this will also be presented to ICG next week as well. And for more information, we have Brian Ulrich and Matthew Fleming for these projects that could be contacted in case there are any questions. Matthew Fleming is a point of contact as well on the EV charging infrastructure project. And so with that runs us through all of the resolutions and TIP amendments. I will pass the mic back over to Angie. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. I now ask for a member to move for approval of resolutions 26-26 through 26-30, and then a second.
Annapolis moved.
Carroll
Thank you,
County
Quack.
was second.
Thank you, Annapolis and Carroll County. Do any technical members have any questions or comments on these resolutions?
No, I just wanted to give kudos to the staff, PRTV, with the inundation of all the TIP amendments. Good job with all the resolutions and presentations and information. Appreciate that.
Sure.
Thanks, Dan.
We now ask if members of the public have any questions or comments on the resolutions. Zach, is there anything in the chat box?
Currently, there was no one asking to speak in the chat box.
Thank you. We will now vote on approval of resolutions 26-26 through 26-30 to amend the TIP for the 8 projects in the resolutions. Where your name is read, please indicate aye or nay. Rebecca, can you please read down the list of members?
Annapolis,
Aye.
Anne Arundel County,
Aye.
Baltimore City, Baltimore County,
Aye.
Carroll County,
Aye.
Harford County,
Aye.
Howard County,
Aye.
Queen Anne's County,
Aye.
and MDOT.
Aye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Rebecca. The resolutions have passed. We will now move on to considering Resolution 26-31 to the BRT for approval. The resolution is to endorse the goals and strategies for Region Next 2055. Zach will present the resolution. Zach?
Yes. Let me just. Okay, good morning. So as Angie said, today we are considering the updated goals and strategies for Region Next 2055, the 2027 Long Range Transportation Plan. Okay, so there are 9 main goal areas. They have stayed the same from the previous LRTP Resilience 2050, and they are improve accessibility, increase mobility, improve system safety, improve and maintain the existing infrastructure, implement environmentally responsible transportation solutions, improve system security, promote prosperity and economic opportunity, get everyone involved and working together, and promote informed decision-making. So you have seen these a number of times. Just to quickly go through the process for updating the goals and strategies. So each of those 9 goal areas that I listed has a number of associated strategies intended to help the BRTB achieve each of those goals. In July and August of last year, BMC staff proposed revisions to those strategies, focusing on simplifying and combining redundant strategies, integrating information learned from recent UPWP projects, making plain language updates, and integrating recommendations from 2 preparatory projects that we did for the LRTP, the Transportation Needs Assessment, which included a survey and focus groups, as well as the Scenario Planning Project. In September, we shared our proposed revisions with the technical committee and requested comments. In October, we shared the updated goals and strategies that integrated several of your comments, including accounting for current transit users, as opposed to just encouraging mode shift to transit, including young people as a focus population, adapting to AI, and accounting for transportation demand management and transit-oriented development. After a pause throughout the fall, while we worked on the financial forecast, we again summarized those updates to you all in January. We sought technical committee consensus to move forward with a call for projects at the March meeting, and then we started that call for projects, as you know, about a month ago in early April, and now we're considering the resolution. So a lot of the strategies remain fairly similar. We made updates along the lines that I described earlier, but a brief summary of updates from the previous LRTP. In terms of the strategies, accessibility, we wanted to differentiate this goal area from mobility, and we also sought to make sure that we were focusing not just on access to jobs, but all destinations, including schools, housing, parks, services, and other daily destinations. We also wanted to account for current transit users as opposed to that encouraging mode shift to transit, and integrated strategy related to bikeable Baltimore region. For mobility, we sought to include all system users, So that's travelers, maintenance, operation, emergency response personnel, as well as adding goods movement and curb management. Safety, again, seeking to include all roadway users, drivers, occupants, pedestrians, bicyclists, other non-motorists, as well as workers, safer work zones, and event incident scenes. For improving and maintaining the infrastructure, we wanted to clearly differentiate strategies. They were kind of a little bit muddled and unclear. So we sought to clearly differentiate strategies related to condition of roads, bridges, electronic roadway equipment, transit vehicles and infrastructure, as well as active transportation facilities. For environmental responsibility, we combined some redundant strategies as well as added strategies related to mitigation measures for extreme weather and transportation noise reduction. Those were both elements that came out of the transportation needs assessment. For system security, we again combined some redundant strategies and broadened the strategies to include cybersecurity. We also revised a funding strategy to recognize that funding for system security and resilience can come from a variety of non-transportation sources as well. For promote prosperity and economic opportunity, we sought to emphasize coordination of land use and transportation planning with housing availability and economic access through things like transit-oriented development. And for get everyone involved and for informed decision-making, we primarily made plain language updates. So the full text, of course, is in the resolution and has been presented previously. It's also on our website. And with that, I think the technical committee can consider resolution 26-31.
Thank you, Zach.
Mm-hmm.
I now ask for a member to move for approval of resolution 26-31 and then a second.
Dan from MDOT, I'll recommend approval and kudos on a great job.
Thank you, Dan from MDOT. Can I get a second?
Queen Anne's County will second.
Thank you, Steve. Queen Anne's. Do any technical committee members have any questions or comments? Are there any in the chat box?
Currently, no one is asking to speak in the chat box.
Thank you. We will now vote on sending resolution 26-31 to the BRTB. When your name is read, please indicate aye or nay. Rebecca, can you read the list, please?
Sure. Annapolis,
Aye.
Anne Arundel County,
Aye.
Baltimore City, Baltimore County,
Aye.
Carroll County,
Aye.
Harford County,
Aye.
Howard County,
Aye.
Queen Anne's County,
Aye.
and MDOT.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. The resolution has passed. We will now consider resolution 26-32 to the BRTB for approval. The resolution is to approve the scoring methodology for the project submittals for Region Next 2055, and Zach will present the resolution.
Yes, thank you. Hello again. All right, so we looked at the goals and strategies, and in preparation for the LRTP, we also look at the scoring methodology for submitted projects for the LRTP. Sorry, there we go. All right, in terms of a broad scoring overview, the call for projects, as you know, is open now through June 17th, where you all, local jurisdictions, MDOT, MTA, can submit priority roadway, transit, and active transportation projects. So that active transportation submittal is new. We developed a scoring methodology for that. I'll get into that a little bit. But the scoring methodology developed for active transportation allows direct comparison of scores for roadway, transit, and active transportation projects. And the total score is composed of policy and technical scoring elements. Those are summed to yield the total project score. The policy score is comprised of sponsored priority, high, medium, or low, plus additional points if it has existing financial support, for a total of 40 points maximum. The technical score is scored by BMC staff based on alignment with the Region Next goals, such as accessibility, mobility, etc. And that's what the project submittal form is intended to gather. Roadway has a maximum technical score of 50, transit and active transportation a maximum of 55, for a total maximum score of 90 for roadway and 95 for transit and active transportation. As a note, transit and active transportation are eligible for 5 additional points based on prior public comment that encouraged the BRTB to focus on these kinds of projects. This carries over from Resilience 2050 for transit, and we added that as we developed the active transportation scoring methodology for active transportation. A similar process for updating, you've seen this a few times. For the active transportation scoring methodology, we worked with a consultant starting last July to develop the scoring methodology. We worked with a steering committee as well that some of you were on. There were presentations of that scoring methodology to the technical committee last December, as well as in January. In December and January, BMC staff then proposed revised technical scoring criteria for roadway and transit projects. And those recommended updates, again, account for transportation needs assessment recommendations, prior public comments, and at the time, MDOT's proposed project prioritization framework. In January and February, I summarized those proposed revisions to you all. In March, you gave consensus to move forward with the call for projects, and we started that call for projects, of course, in April, as I mentioned, and today we're considering a resolution on those scoring criteria. So I've already kind of gone through this, but in terms of the policy score, we structured active transportation so that they could yield a similar policy score to roadway and transit, so they could be directly comparable. So you can submit up to 5 high priority roadway and transit, 4 medium priority, unlimited low priority, yielding 30, 20, and 10 points. An additional 10-point bump for MDOT funding support. Active transportation similar, 2 high, 2 medium, unlimited low. Same bump for funding support for a maximum of 40 points. This slide looks at the technical scoring criteria that are drawn from the LRTP goals, comparing the prior LRTP, Resilience 2050, to Region Next. We score projects on safety, accessibility, mobility, environmental, security, and economic prosperity goals. And the total point totals remained pretty much the same, but we did want to add points to 2 goal areas, accessibility for transit, safety for roadway, based on what we learned from the needs assessment and their importance as regional goals. So we took 5 points for mobility, added 5 points to access for transit, and an additional 5 points to safety for roadway projects. And then active transportation is structured fairly similarly, prioritizing safety and access, 10 points for mobility and the environment. The steering committee thought that system security and evacuation mobility didn't make quite as much sense for active transportation, so it's not scored on that. That yields additional points for other goal areas, and then all receive 5 points for economic prosperity. So a lot of the criteria associated with the goals remained fairly similar or changed, but there are a few changes that I wanted to highlight from the last LRTP for roadway and transit projects. Highway safety, we sought to increase the points from 10 to 15. We are retaining the strategic highway safety plan criterion, but adding a new criterion related to crash modification factors. For transit safety, we're proposing no changes and retaining the existing criteria. For access, both transit and roadway projects are scored on complete streets criteria. We adjusted that slightly to account for low stress features. We are retaining the access to jobs criterion unchanged, and we are adding an access to non-employment destinations criterion for transit because of what we learned from the transportation needs assessment and the importance of that for transit riders in particular. For highway mobility, we are reducing the points, as I mentioned, from 10 to 5. To allow for that, we're reducing the emphasis on the vehicle hours of delay criterion, and we are also adding a criterion related to the degree to which the project increases roadway efficiency via TSMO and encouragement of transition to non-SOV alternatives. I should note here that at the February meeting, we did discuss a travel time reliability metric, but after conferring with our modelers, they indicated that the insight outputs are not suitable for calculating this metric. We only have a congested travel time and a non-congested travel time, and really you need a full distribution of impacts for travel time reliability calculations. So that metric wasn't feasible. For transit mobility, we sought to reduce the points from 10 to 5 to allow that increase in access points. We are retaining the ridership and connectivity criteria and removing the transit options criterion due to overlap with access to jobs. For environmental, we are retaining both of the existing criterion. We're retaining the effects on natural and historic resources unchanged, and we are adjusting the point totals for emission reduction for the emissions reduction criterion to more accurately match potential project emissions. For system security, we're proposing a new criterion considering hazard mitigation. So looking at the degree to which the project incorporates elements related to mitigation of flooding, sea level rise, extreme weather, and cybersecurity incidents. And we are retaining the evacuation mobility criterion with reduced points to allow for that hazard mitigation criterion. For economic prosperity, we are retaining unchanged the existing criterion related to overlap with opportunity zones, priority funding areas, and sustainable communities. Finally, we added this active transportation project scoring methodology, as I mentioned. So the factors that we're scoring on there are for safety, overlap with MDOT areas of vulnerable road areas of need for vulnerable road users, frequency of nearby crashes, inclusion of safe and comfortable infrastructure, and that's it for safety. For access, we're scoring based on overlap with short trip opportunity areas, inclusion in a regional plan, and whether the project addresses a particularly challenging physical barrier such as a railroad or a body of water. For mobility, scoring based on proximity to areas serving the most people and jobs, as well as connections to transit. For environmental, scoring based on overlap with health indicators data based on prevalence of heart disease, asthma, diabetes, and other conditions, with the idea that active transportation should spur additional activity, as well as scoring on access to regional parks as identified in the Bikeable Baltimore Region Plan. And finally, economic prosperity retains the existing criterion that is utilized for roadway and transit. So that's all I have for Resolution 26-32. I'm happy to take any questions, or otherwise the technical committee can consider this resolution.
Thank you, Zach. I now ask for a member to move for approval of Resolution 26-32, and then a second.
Annapolis moved.
Thank you, Annapolis.
Howard County, I'll second.
Thank you, Howard County. Are there any questions from the technical committee members? Any questions from the chat box?
There are no questions in the chat box.
Thank you. We will now vote on sending Resolution 26-32 20-32 to the BRTB. When your name is read, please indicate aye or nay. Rebecca, can you read the list, please?
Annapolis,
Aye.
Anne Arundel County,
Aye.
Baltimore City, Baltimore County,
Aye.
Carroll County,
Aye.
Harford County,
Aye.
Howard County,
Aye.
Queen Anne's,
Aye.
and MDOT.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rebecca. The resolution has passed. We will now consider sending Resolution 26-33 to the BRT for approval. The resolution is to endorse updated functional classifications for highways. Mr. Nate Evans from SHA will present. Nate?
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity. My name is Nate Evans, Assistant Division Chief with State Highways Regional Intermodal Planning Division. I'm here this morning also on behalf of Darren Bean, our Functional Classification Manager, and we're here to request endorsement of the functional classification changes within the Baltimore region. So the purpose of the update coincides with the functional classification update with the 2020 census information. This process takes approximately 7 years once the census information is underway. And once that population data is updated with U.S. Census Bureau, the Federal Highway Administration collaborates with the U.S. Census Bureau to determine where the new urban-rural boundaries will be for federal transportation projects. The new boundary was agreed upon in January of 2025. And with that, the next step was to determine what roadways were now urban and rural. And so that also gives the state an opportunity to take a comprehensive look at the functional classification changes for each jurisdiction. And so State Highway leads this effort on behalf of the state for Federal Highway. And we're coming to you today after another 18 months of working on this process to review the changes that we have proposed for the Baltimore region. So a quick overview of our change request process through over the last 18 months included first a preliminary analysis of the boundary change. We want to take a look at what roadways we're going to lose or gain eligibility for federal funding with those roadways. Also taking a look at our digital data set and looking at roadways that could be upclassed based on their physical characteristics or their contribution to the roadway network. Over the spring of last year, we worked with our state highway districts to identify some of those roadways that they would need to see an upclass or downclass to. And then we also were able to set up our online dashboard, which helped us collect input from the different jurisdictions across the state. Last summer, we had a kickoff meeting with local jurisdictions and MPOs to kind of talk through the process, the timelines, and then what the ultimate goals were. Through last summer, fall, and into this spring, we've worked with the counties to refine what list of roadways they would like to see upclassed or changed. And then through that process, we produced the maps and the output tables to look at the difference in the different percentage breakdown for each functional classification. Got the counties to sign off on the changes within their jurisdiction. And now we are here today seeking MPO approval. Some of the factors that go into identifying a functional classification change, primarily one was the urban area change, which I described. But then we also want to look at the quantitative networks and the quantitative data for each of those roadways. And so that includes looking at the traffic volume that each roadway has, looking at the characteristics of the roadway, whether it's the number of lanes, how wide they are, what the shoulder width is like, and then also what the speed limit is as well. looking at the qualitative data, you look at some of those context implications that they have on the roadway. So different kinds of whether the land use is residential, commercial, or industrial. And then also if there are major traffic generators around those roadways. We do need to maintain a certain balance within our system as provided by FHWA. Maryland is classified as an urban state, so we look at the different percentages for an urban state. As you can see, about 2/3 of a jurisdiction's roadway network is made up of those local roads, whether they're neighborhood streets or and the like, that really kind of increase the access to goods and services. As you go up the functional classification system, the access to goods and services decrease, but mobility increases. So while you wouldn't take necessarily interstate to go get milk from your local store, you would definitely use it for traveling longer distances across the country and state. So this slide shows you a breakdown of the different parameters that we needed to maintain to kind of be within. And on this next slide, we have a list of some of the benefits and implications of the different classifications. So not only does this really kind of play into the federal aid eligibility for each roadway, but then also we do our highway performance monitoring system. State Highway reports that on a biannual basis to Federal Highway on behalf of all of our local jurisdictions. And then also what a functional classification of the roadway is will also kind of set what the design parameters are for that roadway should it be reconstructed or improved in the future. On this slide, I have the functional classification of minor collector called out. That's an important distinction for a minor collector because within an urban area, those roadways are eligible for federal funding, but in a rural area, they are not. So while we were able to kind of look at those roadways across the state and see where we had gained and lost federal funding due to the change for minor collectors. So on this next slide, it gives you a screenshot of the map editor that we had used to collect the different inputs from jurisdictions across the state. One particular example that we had in Harford County, where Maryland 774 Edgewood Road down in the southern part of the county led from like Route 40 and 24 over to the Edgewood Mark Station and the Edgewood Arsenal entrance there. So it was currently classified as a minor arterial because it was providing access to the Mark Station and the military base. But we all noticed that some of the traffic volumes were decreasing in that area. And the county requested that a section of that roadway be downclassed to a major collector. We investigated this kind of anomaly and found that the Edgewood Arsenal gate had closed at that entrance. So it went from about 4,000 vehicles a day down to about right about 900. And so those were basically just vehicles accessing the Mark Station. So given that drop in traffic data and traffic volumes, we were able to agree upon downclassing that section of roadway from a minor arterial to a major collector. So given an overview of the schedule that I just described, here we are at spring of 26 requesting MPO approvals for the changes across the state. Once State Highway has secured all the approvals from MPOs across the state, then we will submit to the Federal Highway Administration and to get their final approval later on this summer. So with that, we'll request concurrence and endorsement of the new functional class changes, but I will be happy to take any questions in the meantime. And I would also like to thank all of our partners on the call today who helped us out during this process as well.
Thanks, Nate.
You're welcome.
I now ask for a member to move for approval of Resolution 26-33 and then a second.
Anne Arundel County would like to move for approval and thank both Darren and Nate for all the work they put in.
Thank you, Brian from Anne Arundel County. Can I get a second?
Harford County seconds.
Thank you, Harford County. Are there any questions from technical committee members? Are there any questions in the chat box?
Currently, there are no questions in the chat box.
Thank you. We will now vote on sending Resolution 26-33 to the BRTB. When your name is read, please indicate aye or nay. Rebecca, can you please read down the list of members?
Annapolis,
Aye.
Anne Arundel County,
Aye.
Baltimore City, Baltimore County,
Aye.
Carroll County,
Aye.
Harford County,
Aye.
Howard County,
Aye.
Queen Anne's County,
Aye.
and MDOT.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. The resolution has passed. We will now consider sending Resolution 26-34 to the BRTB for approval. The resolution is to endorse an updated coordinated public transit human services transportation plan for the Baltimore region. Mr. Tim Briggs will present. Tim?
Thank you, Angelica. Good morning. My name is Tim Briggs. I'm a transit planner with Baltimore Metropolitan Council, and I'm here to talk to you today about the Maryland Coordinated Public Transit Human Services Plan. Oh, thanks. Just no worries. Cindy just let me know that I don't have the right sharing going on, so let me fix that. Okay. All right. Better. Thank you, Sydney. Always the presenter mode tech is my nemesis. All right, so here we go. Plan for the Baltimore region. So as a reminder, and I'm going to maybe move through this quickly, I've presented 2 prior updates on the planning work so far. So hopefully this is very familiar to the tech committee. So the plan is a requirement for the Federal Enhanced Mobility of Seniors and Individuals with Disabilities, or 5310 program. And this plan is something that's building off of a previous plan that was developed in 2019. So it's kind of an update to the previous plan, and kind of using that as a starting point to look at the issues and try to refresh them for 2026. So the 5310 program, the goal again is about improving mobility for seniors and individuals with disabilities by removing barriers to transportation services and expanding available mobility options. The role of the BRTB in the process is endorsing applicants whose projects address elements of the plan. So it's important that we're familiar with that process and are involved in the plan development. Here's a list of the sub-recipients of funding during the last award cycle, which was in FY25. You'll see agencies from across the region, the only exception being Queen Anne's, which for the purposes of 5310 is part of the Upper Shore area, as opposed to the Baltimore area. So what are the requirements of the plan? Fairly standard process. So there's an assessment of the services that are available, as well as what the needs are. And I presented the needs at a prior meeting earlier. Then there's identification of strategies, activities, or projects that can address the needs. And lastly, identifying some priorities or goals for implementation based on the resources that are available. The outreach project process for this was fairly extensive. We held in-person workshops at BMC, one for the needs and one for the strategies. There were also online focus groups for each of those topics to make sure that all folks could attend based on their preferred format. We got stakeholders from lots of different organizations, both the providers, local government, and local transit agencies as well. So the strategies that were identified were ultimately grouped into 5 categories: coordination, outreach, operating, funding, and sustainability. And all of the projects that are funded must be derived from one of these strategies in order to receive funding through the awards. So for coordination, overall, there's an emphasis on expanding outreach and providing, whoa.
Hi, Tim, we're seeing your email.
Yeah, I see that. I don't know what happened. Just. I don't know if I timed out of something. Is that better, Angelica?
No, you're not in, I guess, presentation mode. It still shows 2 slides, 2 separate slide panels.
Is that better?
Yes, that's it.
Okay. All right. Sorry about that. Wow. Okay. And I came into the office just so I could have better presenter setup for today. All right. I was at the strategies. Okay, so I think I talked about coordination and outreach. The next strategies were operating. So really this is about having more options from existing providers and supporting a well-funded transportation system, as well as introducing more specialized or on-demand services that are more tailored to the senior or disabled population. For funding and sustainability, again, advocating for a fully funded transportation system with, supplemental services that are specialized to meet the needs of seniors and disabled riders. So BRTB, as the regional coordination body, as I've mentioned, we play an important role in the process of preparing the plan, as well as reviewing local applications before they're submitted to MTA. And so for the officially adopted plan, it's required by FTA and MDOT to be adopted by the Regional Policy Board. So I request that the technical committee send the Consolidated Human Services Transportation Plan to the board for adoption.
All right. Thank you, Tim. I now ask for a member to move for approval of resolution of 26-34 and then a second.
As Dan at MDOT, I will recommend approval.
Thank you, Dan from MDOT.
And Queen Anne's County will second.
Thank you, Steve from Queen Anne's. Are there any questions from the technical committee members? Are there any questions in the chat box?
There are no questions in the chat box.
Thank you. We will now vote on sending resolution 26-34 to the BRTB When your name is read, please indicate aye or nay. Rebecca, can you please read the list of members?
For Annapolis,
Aye.
Anne Arundel County,
Aye.
Baltimore City, Baltimore County,
Aye.
Carroll County.
Aye.
Thank you. Harford County,
Aye.
Howard County,
Aye.
Queen Anne's County,
Aye.
and MDOT.
Thank you. The resolution has passed. It is time to now prepare for the FY 2027 officers. I'm going to appoint a nominating committee to recommend a slate of officers at the June meeting. I'm now asking if our reps from MDOT, Howard County, and Queen Anne's County will serve on the nominating committee.
Queen Anne's County would be happy to. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Yes, MDOT accepts that role.
Howard
Thank
does as
you.
well.
Thank you so much, everyone. Now it's time for UPWP updates. Ms. Miriam Sultan will share information on the 2026 Transportation and Land Use Connections Program applications. Miriam?
Hello, everybody. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Great. So I'm just going to share a quick update on this year's FY 2027's Transportation and Land Use Connections, what we call TLC program. So the TLC program was established by the Baltimore Regional Transportation Board, the BRTB here, in 2022. This program provides technical assistance to local jurisdictions in the Baltimore region to support projects that reduce roadway traffic, improve safety, address extreme weather-related impacts, and make it easier for people to walk, bike, roll, and use transit. So basically, these projects strengthen connection between transportation and land use, given the name TLC, to improve access to all opportunities for people of all ages and abilities. So far, since 2022, the program has funded 9 projects, totaling $69,000, $100,000 in local technical assistance. So for eligibility and support, local jurisdictions that are voting members of the BRTB can apply, so everyone here, and then non-member jurisdictions within the region, such as cities, may also participate as secondary recipients through a BRTB member jurisdiction. Cities or towns that are not members can apply in conjunction with a member jurisdiction. And then partnerships are encouraged. Applicants receive short-term consulting services rather than direct funding. There's no local match required. So for planning projects, such as concept plans and feasibility studies, we can grant up to $80,000 in consultant services and up until $100,000 for preliminary 30% design projects. Most projects are completed in 6 to 8 months. We really encourage strong public support, and we require a plan for public engagement as part of the application. And the local representative will be the lead on the project. The MC team will be a support to help advance the project. We'll attend the meetings. We'll deal with the invoices to the consultant and all that, but we won't be leading the charge. I'll talk a little bit about the funding priorities in more detail. So projects should expand multimodal transportation options, support transit-oriented development, address community-specific transportation and land use challenges, increase access to transit, advance the bikeable Baltimore region network, improve safety for people walking, biking, and rolling, address impacts from extreme weather, and improve access for low-income populations. So some of these or all of these are the priorities we look for in every single project. So we want to talk a little bit about changes we made this year. So this year, the team, we refined the program description for clarity and consistency. We replaced some checklist questions with instead open-ended, short-form targeted questions aligned to the priorities and funding goals. We added questions on alignment with the Bikeable Baltimore Region Plan, which came out last year, multimodal safety improvements, and resilience for extreme weather-related impacts. We've also emphasized planned public engagement more, so we included a question about that, emphasized collaboration more, clarified some roles about who's leading the project, who's supporting. And now we require a letter of support from a community organization. That's new as well. We've simplified our scoring criteria internally, and we've introduced application support office hours, which is really exciting to help if anyone has any questions about their application or requires like some ideation session or just wants to get like a check on it before they submit it for actual judging, we will have open hours for that too. The schedule, the application period will open very soon. We're planning to open May 14th. And we'll have these virtual application office hours every Wednesday from 3 to 4 p.m. during the window. And we'll just provide an open Zoom link for that. People can hop on, hop off the call. We'll be sitting there ready to help out. Applications will be due on June 17th. We'll be reviewing them from June 18th to July 2nd. We'll come back to the tech committee on the July 7th meeting to present our recommendations for which applications, which projects should be funded. Then after that, we'll send out the award letters once the tech committee confirms, and we're going to kick off the project starting in July. And that's all. This is a QR code that goes to the webpage for TLC. We're in the process of updating the page. And if you have any more questions, you can email Keith Kucharik. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Zach will now provide an update on Region Next 2055 and information on the 2730 TIP public comment period. Zach?
Yes, let me just bring up something quickly. All right, so you have heard enough from me this morning, so I will be quick. There we go. So I already mentioned that Region Next 2055, the call for projects is now open through June 17th, where you all can submit your priority roadway, transit, and active transportation projects. I've had several of you reach out. We've had some good discussions. So please, we know this happens once every 4 years, so you might need some details refreshed. Please reach out to us. We're happy to assist with project submittal or if you have any questions. Yeah, so use us as a resource as you work on those. And also, we've rebranded the Transportation Improvement Program as Region Now. And so moving forward, the short range plan will be Region Now. The long range plan will be Region Next. And so Region Now 2027 is the 2027 to 2030 Transportation Improvement Program that you all have been working on. The public comment period starts next Thursday, May 14th, extending through June 15th. The comment period also includes an amendment to the current LRTP Resilience 2050, adding the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Replacement Project. We're holding that concurrently due to the project being added to the 2027 TIP at this time. We're going to be having engagement throughout. People can submit comments through public input, the story map. We'll also have a virtual public meeting that is currently scheduled for May 20th, an in-person public meeting in the vicinity of the Chesapeake Bay Bridge on May 28th at the Queen Anne's County Library Kent Island branch. And all that information will be detailed on the public input and websites launching next week. Thank you.
Thank you, Zach. There are no RFPs seeking technical committee approval today, so we will not have a closed session for RFP discussion. The next technical committee meeting will be virtual on Tuesday, June 2nd, followed by the Congestion Committee, followed by the Congestion Management Committee. Is there any other business to come before the Technical Committee? Hearing no further business, I'm asked for a motion to close the meeting.
And Dalton, make a motion to close. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Joe.
Second.
Queen Anne's County, you'll second.
Thank you, Steve. Everyone have a great rest of the day. Thank you.